is a rod even in our economy, but you got to understand that there is always a place where the rod and its effect cannot get there. Bow down, dig a well by the Nile, and you shall get fresh water to drink.
And one LORDSON TV.
Memwakwa Baba LORDSON TV. Order for Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng. So we name Papa na Oshen come say, come what may, December 7, 8, 9th, near Boabano, ama Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, Wawenano. Or then Sembiaba Abetuja. Now saying, or tired in Samoa, a soon crying foot you, Unyami Samoa no day, no tired banane, or then Sembiaba Abetuja. Now Unya Dajinya would take tears and Samana. But who said, a review ye. But tears and Samana, it has many angles. I just say, and somebody become a politicians, a comma him for a comma the youth of Ghana, a comma on my menina. As I remember what tears and Seminamuno, and I video no one semi year. You could be now some son the skin code cosmetics in Humbaba Fee, open Quabama body no fever, the skin code cosmetics. A BM or Botangi Kajiri was a bema out here, say any one's or bema woo. In this own man, my young or for more, pe or Botangi Kajiri, a bemo general naso. Afe BT Vida Jewelries. Mr. Ope wedding ring, promise ring, engagement ring. Open chains, watches, anklets, bracelets. You have BT Vida Jewelries. The Ope Bia on Sabeka. Ope Bakwan and up do it to her. Nina Obabuaho. After young consumer. Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng. Or then send be up to ya. Now then send me an answer say whether you like it or not. In the physical, some people will have advantage over you. And oh, you're a politician, team you. Ubi was catching, Ubi will influence channel. What I say, Ubi will baby, Ubi will channel. Ubi will advantage channel to be say, oh, more being easy. Ubi say, oh, judge for a quarter, how much Ubi say, where was can want to vote? Until I make a choice, whether you like it or not, people will have advantage over you. But Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng say, there's a way out. There is a way out. But you could see Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng.
It was only the openings and the waters and the exposed places that were affected. But there were still areas that were not affected by the rod of Moses. May I start from where I shall be? May I begin from where I shall end? That there are always spots and places that have not been contaminated by the stretching forth of the rod. Yes, there is a rod that goes all over, goes to men, goes to women. There is a rod that enters houses. There is a rod even in our economy. But you got to understand that there is always a place where the rod and its effect cannot get there. Bow down, dig a well by the Nile, and you shall get fresh water to drink. I'm talking about supernatural advantage. In life, whether it is a competition, a race, or a journey, there are people who will always have an advantage over you. Whether it is in education, in examination, or in professions, or in your trade, or in your business, there are people that will always have an advantage over your life. You go to the same class with somebody, and some have an advantage of having sharper retentive memory than you are. You are in the same class, paying the same school fees, but they have an advantage of higher sense of retentive memory over you. And so you go to class, and after every result, they are first and you are last. Why? They have an advantage of the level of their IQ over your advantage. When you start a journey from Kumasi to Accra, and you are driving a Toyota Camry 2024, and you are cruising so well on the road, and you are going so fast, and many a times you think that you are going faster than the car should even move. And yet, there is a Land Cruiser that is coming, that is not going as fast as you think it is. It is so stable and yet powerful. All that you see is that the Land Cruiser has overtaken you. There is an advantage of that Land Cruiser. It is a V8 Land Cruiser, and your Toyota Camry is a V4 Land Cruiser, or Toyota Camry V4 or V6. The V8 shall always have an advantage over the V6. But ladies and gentlemen, in life, whether you like it or not, there are advantages some way, somehow. But I came to a level playing field that regardless of what advantage a person has over you, when you are able to assess the supernatural, you shall be called the most advantaged one. I am talking about supernatural advantage. Come on, come on. I don't think I begged you. Supernatural advantage. Let me lay my preamble before I start. Let's get into the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. Ephesians chapter 6.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Now, the writer of the book of Ephesians, who is believed to be Paul, said, whether we like it or not, we are in a wrestle. Yawokwano. Sawupo, sawumpo, sawutiasio, sawuntiasio, sawujidio, sawunjindio, yawo okwano. And on this battlefield, he says, there is the flesh and there is the blood. But he's telling us and bringing our minds to the fact that yes, there is the flesh and there is the blood. And if you are not very careful, you might think that blood advantage is the perfect advantage, or flesh advantage is the most perfect advantage. But then he scales it down and he said, yes, without a shadow of doubt, we wrestle, and we are wrestling on a field. But this field is not for flesh and blood, but it is against principalities. It is against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness. Watch this. What Paul is telling us is that we live in this world of the physical, of the flesh, and of the blood. But understand that there is a spiritual battle and a wrestle that is going on in the realms of the spirit that shall determine the outcome of the flesh and the blood.
Yes.
He is telling us that we are in a wrestle, but that wrestle is in a realm of the supernatural, and then we have answers in the natural. He's just telling us that there are evidences of the natural and the evidences of the physical. But then Paul is telling us that regardless of the evidences of the natural, the evidences of the physical, the evidences of flesh, the evidences of blood, Paul is telling us that the outcome of this flesh and blood is as a result of your advantage in the spiritual realm, whether you are able to conquer principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness in high places. Can I then start by telling you, you are as a result of a spiritual product that went on yesterday. What you are seeing and what I am experiencing is not because I was in school, but it is because something has been cooked up in the spirit on my behalf. Something has been cooked up in the spirit to benefit me. or something has been cooked up in the spirit to disadvantage me. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but it's telling us that we have results in flesh and blood, but the spiritual battle is in the physical, in the spiritual. And so I am telling you today that if you can get the result of flesh and blood, you've got to get an advantage in the battles of the supernatural. That is why I start by letting you know that you have an advantage in the supernatural. Utilize it, maintain it, keep it, and the result shall benefit every flesh and blood in our midst. Amen. The advantage anybody has over you, and the advantage anybody has over me, the advantage some people have over my children, and the advantage some have over your children, it's not because of how much you spent on your children physically. It is not because you took them to a very good school. There are people that are paying well over £50,000 a year for their children in the primary schools. And there are some who are paying nothing, and you take them to the same class, and they are paying nothing, and they are still the first in that class. What do you think? Do you think that it is just by chance or by accident? It is not by chance or by accident, but somebody has taken advantage of spiritual opportunities. I came to start my journey and my message with you on supernatural advantage. If you are clapping, clap well. If there is anything that will benefit you in the spirit, which is not first cooked in the flesh, if there is anything that will benefit you in the flesh, which was not first cooked in the spirit, may you forfeit it and get to a place where everything you are able to accumulate and accomplish will be a reflection of your advantage utilized in the spirit that has manifested itself in the flesh. There are some that have taken the lead over your life in the flesh, in career, in business, in every aspect of life. But I came to let you understand that if you opt for an advantage in the supernatural, then the first can be last and the last can be first. Supernatural advantage. As I lay my second point, within my preamble, in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, from the verse 4 downwards.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, reading from verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God.
Which means that we are in a physical and a visible and a visual warfare. Which means that we are fighting some way, somehow. And he's telling us that there are weapons for this battle. But he's telling us that these weapons are not carnal, although we are involved in a physical or a carnal encounter. Supernatural advantage. No, by the time I finish with you, I'll be able to provoke you that others can have financial advantage over you. Some can have educational advantage over you. Some can have all kinds of advantages over you. But I came to tell you to rise up and not to settle for it. You can turn the battle to your advantage by getting into the supernatural and taking advantage of the supernatural advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, when the supernatural advantage sets in, every other advantage bows.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't think I will ever beg you to clap.
Ebiem Prophet Victor Kusi Boateng was say ube bio radio, ube show TV, ube social media. People are undermining spiritual things. People are having doubts. People are asking questions. People are discussing spiritual things and arguing. People are confused. People are undermining, speaking against spiritualities. But unim the secret. Abonsam nim say wo ye yo. Unkunim die. Ebe free hunhum wiase because ade bi ebe physical bia na de kan so hunhum. Aja say be see wo asasi so in the physical and it can happen home. So if you have a spiritual advantage, if you have a supernatural advantage, more advantages etiao and answer a chain or formono. Oh babaye the leader, because your advantage is not with man, your advantage is with God. Yensan Kusi Victor Kusi Boateng bi muamra.
There is no physical result that was not initiated in the spirit. When it is being cooked, it is for the spiritual. But when it is done cooking, then it is translated from the spirit into the physical. Let's not be fooled. And that is why there are too many controversies and too many doubts and too many battles and too many questions about spiritual lives. And there are always questions and there are always doubts in the minds of people whether spirituality exists or it doesn't exist. Right now, whenever you get on air, whether television or the radio, spiritual things are being undermined. Spiritual things are being discussed. Anything to help you is being spoken against, because the enemy understands that the only way to win your battle is not how effective your armories are, but the only way to win your battle is in the supernatural. Okay, let me scale it down a bit. Recently, all of us heard of what Hezbollah and Hamas did in Israel, right? In October, I think 21st, last year, 27th, October 7th, they abdicated a lot of people when they were having fun. And then they took them away. Israel told everybody for the first few weeks that help me get these hostages. And nobody wanted to. And then Israel said, we are going to fight. The Arab world said, don't do it. The Western world said, don't do it. But Israel said, we are going to go into this battle. We had an Arab orator that came on air and said that this is the time for all Arabs to come together and to defeat Israel. But the thing about this battle is that whether Hezbollah is hidden in Iran or Iraq, whether Lebanon agrees with Iraq or Iran, there is a battle that has already been won in the spirit, because God has already declared that nobody goes to war with Israel and succeeds. So Israel is not fighting a battle with Hezbollah or with Lebanon. Look at how Israel is able to kill a whole prime minister of Iran without anybody knowing. They killed them. Now, when I was researching into the Israeli intelligence, I realized that Israeli intelligence is not all about what they learn. Many a times, the Israeli intelligence is given to them divinely from above. At times, their president will go to bed and then have all kinds of intelligence, and then will call their technical men and say, this is what we see. Let us see whether it works. And that is the reason why almost a less than 70-year-old nation has the most sophisticated intelligence. Without the intelligence of Israel, American intelligence is nothing. Not because they are the most educated, not because they have no money, but it is because they have a spiritual advantage over Hezbollah. They have a spiritual advantage over Iran. They have a spiritual advantage over the Palestinians. I came to tell you that regardless of where you are located, you can change the course of your life and bring yourself to a place where you shall gain a spiritual advantage. I speak over your life. I speak over the lives of your children. I speak over your career. I speak over your future. That may God give you a divine advantage. Shout spiritual, supernatural advantage.
Spiritual, supernatural advantage.
Look at how Israel has been able to kill the leader of Hamas. Look at how they were able to kill the leader of Hezbollah. Look at how every country was warning Israel, but Israel said, we are focused. Not because they have some sophisticated armories, but because they had heard from God. Because God had given them dreams and visions. Because God had invaded the physical and given them a spiritual infusion of intelligence. And so, although everybody was fighting them, right now everybody was coming to terms with them, to the extent that Kamala Harris had to do a press statement that right now that Israel has been able to kill the leader of Hamas. How were they able to kill the leader of Hamas? They invaded Palestine. They killed a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with innocent people dying, but whether I agree or I don't agree, I didn't receive the dream that they had. I didn't receive the intelligence that they had. I didn't have the supernatural intelligence that they have and the supernatural advantage that they have. I can condemn them. They have been condemned for the past 60 years, but the more they are condemned, the more they become strong and strong and strong. I may not agree with them, but my agreement with them has nothing to do with the success story of Israel. My disagreement with how they approach things has nothing to do with the results of Israel. They are so focused. Why? Because they know that they have an advantage, and the advantage is not drawn from who supports them. The advantage is drawn from the power of the supernatural. That is why Netanyahu can go to UN and say in the UN, listen to me guys in here. You are always asking of the title deed of the land that Israel claims it is for them. He goes with the Bible at the UN General Assembly, and he said, if there is any title deed that we have, this is our title deed. It is a supernatural title deed. You may not have signed it by any governor. No UN General Secretary may have signed it, but it was signed by the God of Abraham. It was signed by the God of Isaac. It was signed by the God of Jacob. And then you see people standing and clapping their hands, knowing that these people are not people that are functioning by their eyes and by their physical intelligence, but they are fighting and they are functioning by a source that is a supernatural source. I came to tell everybody here that when they get an advantage physically over you, rise up and overrule the advantage and superimpose his spiritual advantage over your life.
What shape a paying someone? Now, media idea back one of my favorite money say, and ye no hunamuni mujanenya. My warfare is not of the flesh. And maybe a woman to ye minim. If I want to have an advantage over my co-equals, if I want to have advantage in politics, if I want to have advantage in the pastoral ministry, if I want to have advantage in our social media, I have to war in the spirit. There is something called supernatural advantage I have to grab. Also, a DNA wafa. Comment, like, share, say unfollow, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Now afi following all social media handles, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, following LORDSON TV, all social media handles. Stay blessed. Bye bye.
Keep watching Move on to LORDSON TV.
Keep watching, don't change it. Keep watching, don't change it. Keep watching, don't change it.
And one LORDSON TV.